Have you ever used ChatGPT and just stopped for a second and thought, how in the world is it actually doing that? Well, if that's you, you're in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to pop the hood and take a look at how this engine really works.
You know, it really does feel like magic, doesn't it? You type in a question, and this coherent, super detailed, and sometimes, honestly, brilliant answer just appears out of nowhere. But it's not magic. It's actually a fascinating process, and that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
So before we get into the really nitty-gritty mechanics, let's start at square one. What was ChatGPT even built for? At its heart, it's all about one thing: conversation.
At the most basic level, yeah, it's a computer program. But the whole point of it, its entire design, is focused on one very specific goal: to understand the stuff you type and then create text that sounds like a person wrote it. And that human-like part, that is the key to absolutely everything else we're about to talk about.
And what does that actually look like? Well, it means it's built to do a few key things really well. It can have a back and forth conversation with you. It can answer your questions like a walking encyclopedia. It can be your creative partner for writing a story. Or it can even act like a teacher, breaking down really complex ideas for you.
All right, so that's the what. But now for the really cool part, how does it pull this off? We're about to look at the secret engine that powers this whole machine. And listen, this is probably the single most important idea to get your head around. ChatGPT isn't thinking like you and I do. It's not conscious. It doesn't have feelings or opinions. What it's really doing is running an incredibly sophisticated prediction game on a massive scale.
So how does it learn to be such a good predictor? It's basically a three-step process. First, it reads a lot. We're talking a mind-boggling amount of text, a huge chunk of the internet, millions of books, you name it. Then, from all that data, it starts to spot patterns. And not just simple grammar, but deep connections between concepts, facts, and even different writing styles. All of this training basically turns it into an expert guesser, making it amazing at predicting which word is the most likely to come next in any given sentence.
If that still sounds a little abstract, I've got the perfect analogy for you. You know the autocomplete on your phone, right? The one that suggests the next word as you're typing? Okay, now imagine that, but supercharged with the knowledge from billions of web pages and books. That, in a nutshell, is the core of what ChatGPT is doing.
Okay, let's zoom in just one level deeper. For the AI to even begin predicting the next word, it has to chop our language up into little pieces a computer can actually work with. And it does this using something called tokens.
So what in the world is a token? It's actually pretty simple. It's just a piece of text. Sometimes it's a whole word, like apple, and other times it's just part of a word, like the ing in running. These tokens are the fundamental building blocks the AI uses. It doesn't really see sentences. It sees long strings of these tokens.
For instance, let's take the simple sentence, ChatGPT is a tool. The AI might break that down into these exact tokens you see here. So when it's writing a response, it's not really asking what word should come next. It's calculating, based on all my training, what token is statistically the most probable one to come next. And that brings us to what might be the most crucial part of this whole explainer for anyone who actually uses this tech. Understanding how it works reveals this really fascinating paradox. It can sound incredibly sure of itself while being completely and totally wrong. It might, for example, generate a sentence just like this one. It's very specific, it's stated like a plain fact, and honestly, if you didn't know any better, it sounds kind of plausible. But of course, it is complete nonsense. In the AI world, they call this a hallucination, when the model just makes stuff up. So why does this even happen?
This comparison really gets to the heart of it. The reason it sounds so confident is that it learned from us. It learned from human writing, which is often written with a ton of authority. Its main goal is just to copy that confident style. But here's the catch. It's only predicting the next most likely token. It has no concept of what is true or false. And this is the bottom line. ChatGPT is a world-class pattern matcher, but it is not a fact checker. So, after our little tour under the hood, what are the most important things to keep in your back pocket every time you use this tool?
If you only take one single thing away from this explainer, please make it this. It is not a thinking machine. It is an incredibly powerful and sophisticated pattern matching machine.
So let's just do a super quick recap.
We've seen that its entire function is to predict the next token in a sentence, a skill it gets from finding patterns in a giant library of human text. And that's what leads to that big paradox. It's designed to sound confident, just like we do. But because it's only matching patterns and doesn't actually understand truth, it means we always have to use our own critical eye.
And this brings us to the final and most important takeaway. Knowing that ChatGPT is a powerful text predictor and not a truth machine, that should fundamentally change how we interact with it. It's an amazing assistant, for sure, but it's an assistant that always, always needs our supervision. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know, how will you use this powerful tool wisely?